All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Monday Market Report for the week ending August 14th, 2022. I'm your host, Sean, with BlueRidgeSilverhound. I want to thank you for tuning in to this video where we look at the most relevant, most notable post-1900 modern era of graded coins to have sold here in the last 7 days. We're going to be taking a look at all of the coins, some of the most notable ones, of course, from greatcollections.com. Now, I want you guys to kind of remember, we have a big show upon us, okay? We have the World's Fair of Money that is going on as we speak, and that might actually play a little role into the market, all right? Usually it does. Sometimes some of the bigger auction houses don't post their nicest stuff during this auction week where maybe another big auction company is hosting that event. So something to keep in mind, although we have quite the stacked lineup, I really don't think the show really affects anything, really. Great Collections always continuously puts out some of the best consignments that you could possibly ask for. And I think based off of what we're seeing here this week, we have something that's really going to excite you. Now, there's a number of coins that we've talked about before, right? But, how has the market been? And, through the summer, we've seen what I would like to consider to be just really consistent sales. I think we're seeing more of a need and desire for some of the earlier type coins from like 1950 and earlier. Okay, we've seen that. Most notable, Buffalo nickels have been absolutely white hot. Some of the earlier dated Lincoln cents, of course, making their stamp, or just really making a market influence as they normally do, especially for the higher grade registry geared toward coins. Of course, I talk about that every week. The registry really influences the market in a big way, and most notably some of these ultra modern coins like post 1960. Who would have thought that a few coins from the 80s would be worth $1,000, right? Stuff that normally we wouldn't think would be associated with any value. Now today there's a new wave of collecting going on, and that registry set is certainly pushing the market up higher in various areas where, there wasn't any interest at all 30 years ago. So we're going to go ahead and take a look and see what we have here this week. And of course, for all your consignment needs, you've got some of those big coins you're looking to sell and sell right away. Great Collections might be your place. Go ahead and reach out to them. Go ahead and check out their website. But of course, if you're looking for that big coin to add to your collection, they can help you out as well with some pretty beefy, just really incredible listings every week. All right, thank you guys again for tuning in. And the first coin we have is one that I've talked about here recently. We have another one here. This is a 1990 proof Lincoln Memorial cent. This is, of course, one of the big chase varieties. This one is the no S type. The proof coins of the 90s or 1990 in general should have an S mint mark. This one was inadvertently left off, and therefore there were a few coins that leaked out without the mint mark. So these are still being hunted to this day. There are still new examples being discovered. This particular one is a grade point higher than the previous example that we did showcase a few weeks back. This one is a Proof 69 red, Deep Cameo, and of course it shows no S right on the label. This one ended up selling for a really nice $6,249.38. A good way to kick off the Monday Market Report. The next one that we have here is just a really scarce date to find with Cameo Contrast. Okay, this is a 1960 Lincoln Memorial. It features the large date type. This one right here is actually quite pretty, showing quite a bit of frosty devices, all right, and offset that by some pretty nice dark fields. That's kind of like the magical combo that people look for and they try and cherry pick for quite the big valued coin. This particular example is a Proof 69 red through NGC, and as you can see, it also shows Ultra Cameo right on the label. There's some big keywords right there. So with this one here, it did sell for $1,299.38. Sure, it's a large date and there's no variety, but if you're able to, say, find one that is a small date with Ultra Cameo, that's kind of a big coin. That coin is worth many times more than this one is, only because that particular date type and variety type is a lot harder to find in these proof sets. So a very nice example here. This more than likely is to end up in a registry set somewhere. All right, so we have a pretty big gap from 1960. Now we're at 1931D. All right, so this is the next most notable Lincoln cent to have sold here this week. Again, another example that is prime for either a type set or a registry set as kind of a place marker. This one right here is not the finest graded example that you will see. We've seen 66s of this particular date and higher before. This one is, again, a Pcgs Mid-State 65 red. And it looks every bit that. There's a few tiny little carbon specks all across the coin, along with a few, I guess, nicks, especially on Lincoln's face right there. You can see that pretty cleanly. And overall, just a really decent example. Now, with this being said, it did sell for $1,746, which, is quite the acceptable amount considering the difficulty of this particular date in full red mid-state condition. Now, if full red isn't your thing and you still need a specific date because they just don't pop up in the marketplace that often, 1914S might be one of those dates that might be a little bit of a roadblock for you. Some of you guys know what I mean. There are some teens dated D and S minted coins that are just quite scarce in mid-state condition all around. And some people require it for a dedicated date set, for a type set. This is a pretty good coin here for not being a Denver Mint key. This one right here is a PCGS Mid-State 64 brown. And it looks every bit brown. There's just little traces of mint red in the protected areas of the coin. This one right here ended up selling for $1,199.25. I would say this is just a really good coin to add to any of those type of sets. And the last Lincoln that we're going to feature is this beautifully stunning 1909 VDB. Okay, one thing you're going to notice that is absent from this coin is that pesky S mint mark, okay, which puts it in a league all on its own. We've seen so few Mid-State 67 1909 S VDBs, maybe once in a blue moon, but, a 1909 Philadelphia is quite scarce, all right? Quite scarce in the sense that this one is a 67 plus red through NGC, and they doubled down with the certification and got it CAC green beaned as well. I mean, just putting all those things together, this is truly a remarkable coin for not being a PCGS graded example. It's stunning. It shows the nice satiny pebbly surfaces of the coin, which, is quite nice for a 1909. They all seem to have that if you have a Mid-State type coin, but this one is a true beauty. This one ended up hammering for $2,936.25. And we can't end this one denomination off without at least talking about one Indian head cent. So the one that caught my attention is this 1909S. By far, an incredibly scarce date, very low mintage. This is one of the big keys of the Indian head cent series. It kind of went on forgotten. By the time the Lincoln cent had been produced and circulated, people had forgotten about 1908s and 1909s because a new coin was in town. This one right here is a stunner. How about Mid-State 65 red? Add in a little plus designation in there, and you got one ungodly looking coin here. This bad boy ended up selling for $9,508.50. Wow. Yeah, this is a dream coin for me. Maybe not necessarily in this grade. I will gladly take like an AU55 because that's what my typeset needs desperately. But, when you come across one of these on the auction block, all you want to do is marvel at it because, again, it's a rarity condition-wise, sure, but it's one of the last relevant earlier classic type coins that we all look through the red book price guide and see photos of it in there, and this is a coin that I've dreamed to own, and at the very least I'm glad to see at least one of them sell. All right, so we're on to nickels, where there's some kind of crazy, mysterious shenanigans going on, only because there are a few dates that just came out of nowhere. So we're going to start it off with the 1984P. Again, you've heard me say it before. What in the heck is this doing here on the Monday Market Report? Well, these are all registry set driven coins. All right, 30 years ago, these things weren't nothing. All right, these were this helped pay for your lunch at Burger King or your coffee. It served very little purpose, all right, because it was just 5 cents. But today, it's much more meaningful than that. Registry sets have long been a big component to the numismatic world. Whether you want to accept it or not, it's something that's going to stay indefinitely. This example right here ended up grading Pcgs Mid-State 67 with full steps. It doesn't look like it, but yeah, they designated this one with full steps. It might look the case in hand, but on these pictures, they certainly don't do it justice whatsoever. So this one right here is sold for $1,581.62. And the same goes for this one. You'll notice that the luster is not as strong as the 84 that we've seen before it. But we do have a 1981P Jefferson Nickel. This time it's a PCGS Mid-State 66 with full steps. A much more tougher date to find in this particular grade and higher. And this one right here, again, registry set all along, ended up selling for $1,249.88. But I'll say the most craziest, insane nickel so far this week has to be this 1977D. However, the redeeming part about this one is that it really does look like a Mid-State 67. This is a good-looking coin. Now, I was under the impression that a lot of late 70s nickels were generally very well produced. They had great quality. They were, they had a nice strike. I might be wrong, all right? Because when they come up like this and the price tag, is just a huge kind of contrast to what you think it's worth, you begin to rethink things. So this is a 67 plus full stepper, and it does look like that. I will say that. This one right here ended up selling for $4,973.62. Let's just call it a $5,000 bill because it is that insane. So very rarely will you see a coin like this ever pop up on auction. Maybe once a year if you're lucky. And for a lot of Jefferson Nickel registry set folks, and it's quite the deep pool of them, you might be waiting quite a long time for the next one to show up. And here's a 63D, a notorious date for just really crappy quality. And this one definitely shows its warts. This time a Mid-State 65 with 5 full steps through NGC, of course. And again, this is probably just needed out of necessity because there aren't too many of these full steppers that pop up onto the marketplace, especially for a registry set. This one right here sold for $1,442.25. That Mid-State 65 gets me, but I think what also gets me even more is the 5 full steps, only because it's a very thin population of full step coins for this date. And 54D, one of the kind of like final bad quality nickels that you'll find on today's Monday Market Report. This one, of course, is on here. Does the grade look familiar? This time it's PCGS graded, but it's still a 65 full stepper. And the luster is just bad. through the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints. They could not get the luster down at all on any of these. And I think that really boils down to the originating planchet quality. The planchets all came from the same place, I would imagine. So a lot of it was really bad. They had a lot of planchet nicks, and they were just in really rough shape even before these coins were struck. This is about as good of an example I've seen with any sort of steps on there. It might be marginal to a lot of folks, and I could see why there's kind of like a nick right in the middle of the thing that usually would disqualify it. However, this one did sell to the tune of $1,435.50. Great collections. Does notate a little bit of toning on this one, which is quite dark and more on the, I guess, lavender side. You can see it there on the reverse over the word United. You know, there's little pockets of that particular color there. Now, what was produced in really nice quality were the Wartime silver nickels. You can look at easily the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco minted versions of the coin, freshly minted, and they would all look pretty good. They were all generally well struck, and they all exhibited some of the most blazing luster that you will see on any coin during its era. This one right here is a Pcgs Mid-State 67 full stepper. It is, of course, a 45S. Looks to be there might be even a little repunched mint mark. All right, there are quite a few of them for this particular series. The coin ended up selling for $2,056.25. And we did have one Buffalo nickel, but this one is going to fool you a little bit. All right, so Buffalo nickels of the 30s, some would say, are reasonably available, especially in mid-state condition and raw. Now, there are some, exceptions. Yeah, 34D isn't a date that we normally come across in mid-state condition. A lot of these just never existed. I've never personally seen a raw mid-state 34D at either a coin show or at a coin shop. They just don't exist. This one right here is a Pcgs Mid-State 65, which looks pretty good. I mean, this looks like a fresh minted example. The coin ended up selling for $4,774.50, which compared to other dates, like if you had, say, a 1936D Buffalo nickel in the same grade, man, that coin is probably worth less than $100. It just is what it is. There are just some dates that are a lot more scarce for this kind of condition than others. Now, believe it or not, we do have a couple rosies on the list. We have an 82P, which is just a registry set gem, and that's really all it is. Never, ever should you invest in something like this just because it's a top pop grade. Because if the next one comes around and it's a 67 full bands like this one is, you might be in trouble because that further dilutes the price down to much lower levels until the next highest grade pops up like a 67 plus, and you don't want to be holding the bag at that point. This one right here ended up selling for quite the stunning figure. $2,058.75 was the actual final hammer price on this one. We did have a number of really beautiful toners. How about a 1950D? So this one is on here. It's the only other Roosevelt dime notable and worth talking about this week. This one right here had no full bands. It did manage to scoop up a Mid-State 68 grade through PCGS. Even is also QA certified, which is similar to CAC, only they deal in more modern coins. This one here has the kind of toning that you could just look at. Some people won't like it, all right, because it's maybe a little bit too splotchy for their tastes. But toning equates to quality and originality, and that's what some people care about. This one right here is sold for $1,856.25. Now the Mercury dimes, and there's only two of them, will knock your socks off. Now the 44D here is the least impressive out of the two we're going to talk about. However, don't underestimate the grade. This is a Mid-State 68 plus full bands. And it just doesn't come up that often. Even though it's a much later date, it's much more available in mid-state condition. This is still a rarity right here. It's also CAC certified as well, so they got that going for it. They definitely saw the beauty that is beholden on this one. This one ended up selling for $6,975. But if you think this one's beautiful, check out this one right here. So S-minted coins are usually not struck well enough to show strike designation. In this case, we're talking about a monstrous coin here. This is a single finest graded by PCGS as a Mid-State 68 Plus. Also shows full bands, CAC certified, but can we talk about the toning? The toning is second to none. And it's the toning that probably made this coin worth 2x of what its original value is. Are you guys ready for this? $61,312.50 was the final total on this one. Yikes. There are some earlier dated Mercury dimes from the teens with full bands that don't even come close to hitting this kind of high water mark in the marketplace. This is one for the ages for sure. And make sure you guys keep this one on the back of your mind, that toning, you might hate it, but you won't hate cashing in that check. Yeah, you won't as much So make sure that when you come across these coins, and they'll pop up when you least expect them at a coin dealer shop, in their case or whatever, that it's quite special. Just make sure it's got the full bands on there. So we're going to wrap things up here with 3/4. How about 1970? This one's just simply a registry set example. Mid-State 67 Plus through PCGS is what this one is. Also has a little bit of what I call that album toning. Very, very, foggy looking and very yellowish. Not my favorite, of course, but some people do like this sort of thing. This coin right here is a surprising one as well, that ended up selling for $3,361.50. And the final proof coin is a frosty beauty. This thing looks like a birthday cake, and all it needed was, maybe a few candles on there because it's your birthday, if you find one of these. This is a 1959. Of course, that this era of proof set still very affordable. You can get them for about $35 to $40. But cherry picking Deep Cameo examples that show this level of frosting on both sides of the coin is a battle all in itself. So make sure you're looking out for these. Don't overlook them. This one is a Proof 68 Plus Deep Cameo. It is so clean. This is such a gorgeous coin. Even the rim is frosted on this. If you look close enough on both sides of the coin, the rim is even frosted. And that's something that you just don't see that often. So, with all that being said, this one did sell for $6,388.88. So we're going to close things out here on, just a really nice key date and minty fresh, 1932S. Now, I had done a video a few days ago on 1930s Washington quarters about how they're kind of underrated. They should be looked at a little bit closer, to collectors. And it's always an important decade. All right. So it only spans a few years. And of course, the 32S and 32D are the big coins of the bunch. But very rarely do you see them grade out this high. This one right here is a PCGS Mid-State 65. Things get pretty gnarly once they go beyond this grade into 65 plus, 66, 67. You get the big picture. But this one right here is just a beautiful all-purpose type of coin. It's an investor piece, a type piece. This will go into a Washington quarter date set. It'll even go into a registry set if you wanted to. So with all things considering, this one right here to end off the Monday market report sold for $3,487.50. So what do you guys think on this one? A lot of good ones. As we're kind of approaching the end of the summertime, I guess, coin season, if there's such a thing. Again, we're seeing very, very reliable numbers, very nice big coins. So of course, we're seeing those one shot just come out of nowhere type examples like that 42S Mercury. You just never know. And it's those type of coins that really, really test the market. It's where the rubber meets the road. When those particular coins perform well in the marketplace, that will give you an idea and a sense of how strong the overall health of the market is. And I say we're still in pretty good shape here as we head into the fall seasons. But that's going to go ahead and wrap it up. If you guys catch this on a Sunday night, have a nice, relaxful evening. If you catch it on a Monday morning, you guys take care. Have a wonderful week. Don't work so hard. I am your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. Don't forget to do all three of those things on screen. And as always, come check me out on TikTok at Blue Ridge Silverhound. You guys take care, have a pleasant evening, and I will see you on the next coin video. So long.